set the context of this demonstration today, let's see what a sales and operations plan process looks like. So sales and operations planning, as Mo mentioned, is a process to balance demand and supply, which must be aligned with the organization's strategic direction. Hence, this necessitates that the account managers in the sales department responsible for selling different products to different customers works in a collaborative manner with the demand planner in the operations department, who, based on the production capacity available, would be able to gauge if the sales plan is feasible or not. The demand planner thus works hand in hand with the supply line manager in the manufacturing department to check the viability of the supply plan against the demand to generate a reconciled sales and operations plan. And the key outcome of the integrated sales and operations plan is a full-fledged, robust financial plan, which shows the impact the sales and operations plan has on the product profitability, the customer profitability, the cost of acquisition, stocking inventory, net profit, and resulting cash flow. All key KPIs required by the finance strategy function within the businesses to make an informed decision. Thus, a robust and comprehensive sales and operations plan is made possible by the various departments or functions working collaboratively within an organization, working towards the sales plan, the demand plan, the supply plan, with a constant flow of information, all of which builds the reconciled financial planning framework, helping the management set the strategic direction of the company. And using NetSuite's integrated sales and operations planning application, as we will shortly see, we can achieve all the above as explained, working towards an integrated sales and operations plan by individual products and customers, going down as detailed as the individual SKUs in a bottom-up fashion, but also having the capability of adjusting the forecast in a top-down manner and seeing the impact instantaneously on the financial plan, all from within the same integrated platform. So NetSuite Planning and Budgeting provides role-based secured access to data and applications, which allows appropriate avenue to delegate responsibility and thereby ensuring robust data governance and controls in place. So here I would be logging into the system as an integrated business planner, and I would be executing all these 4 steps from within the single integrated platform. So with that, let me navigate to the NetSuite Planning and Budgeting Sales and Operations Planning page. So before I actually navigate into the application itself, let us familiarize ourselves with the landing page of NetSuite Planning and Budgeting. On the left-hand side, you can see various notifications and announcements relevant to the forecasting and planning process. Provide useful guidelines and insights. For example, based on the present economy and the various events that are being happening across the country, I have got some insights from the Office of Finance about how I should plan my demand as well as supply. And I can also incorporate important milestone for task completion. I can also save some of the important reports and dashboards in my favorites for quick access. So now as an integrated business planner, based on the information that has already been loaded into the system, based on all the drivers of my demand and supply, I would want to view the position of my cash. So here with a single click, I launch the cash flow to analyze the position of my cash, which we would shortly see is based on the different combinations of the drivers of my demand and supply that I have chosen. It clearly shows me the net change in my cash, which gives me a good indication of my business, how I should track my drivers of my demand and supply so that I can manage a favorable cash position at the end of every month. So on the right, you would see the various widgets or applications. So each applet are essentially individual application which helps to work with the specific areas of sales and operations planning processes. And in this demonstration today, I would be demonstrating the integrated sales and operations plan. Every application within NetSuite Planning and Budgeting solution consists of an input templates. The Yellow cells implies that you can upload the data in these templates. And when we upload a bunch of parameters, this eventually runs the business processes in the background to show the outcome in a set of reports. As an example, the detailed pricing report, which are all based on the combinations of the drivers of my pricing that I have uploaded. And within every report, I can navigate to the correct point of view to generate the correct format. And also, everything is neatly set up in form of workbenches, which allows us to build the assumptions for my pricing or my sales forecast. It also helps me to forecast my demand or the volume of my sales. Then subsequently, it allows me to work with the drivers of my supply plan. And all this information finally gets to reflect in my financial impact, my gross margin, my income statement, my balance sheet positions, and the resulting cash flow. The sales and operations plan in this particular demonstration here is for a wholesale distributor who sells different computer hardware and accessories in various customer segments. But this can easily be applied for any WD retail companies by tweaking the templates and reports to accommodate the necessary drivers of demand and supply. So starting with the pricing assumptions, we can build very detailed pricing assumptions by the SKUs, as you can see in the rows. And for every SKU, we can attach multiple pricing strategies, as you can see in the column. And these pricing strategy at the onset is preceded with the different pricing options that you set in the NetSuite ERP via direct integration, and along with the other segments like your products, the company setup, the customers, and the financial data. The true value that NetSuite Planning and Budgeting Sales and Operations Plan brings to the table is allowing the business to model various pricing strategies and understand their impacts on the overall profit margin. So as a consequence of which, I would flex the sales price for the access monitors and my Brocade extension switches, because those are the two items which I believe would be the key contributors to my sales. I would apply a different pricing strategy for my access monitors, and I would try to see what is the impact on my sales margin if I increase the pricing by 40%. Based on the alternate price for. Whereas for my Brocade switches, I will stick to my base price. Once I save these assumptions, the key strength the solution has, it multiplies it with the forecasted demand and automatically builds my gross margin as I change my different pricing strategies. I can also flex my pricing. So here, the cost price can be set by the individual locations for all the individual like suppliers that we deal with. And here, we can apply different pricing strategies like the average cost price versus the last purchase price in order to drive the average pricing. And all this information, as soon as we flex it, give me a detailed pricing report where I can see the spread of the pricing by the individual weeks. So moving on to forecasting the volumes of sales, we can here see that the forecasting horizon is by week. So I have already loaded the actual data up to week 23. And all the data remaining from week 24 onwards in my forecast data, which I'm going to build using this application. And I can leverage historical information to build my forecasts. I can choose to create the forecast by individual customer by selecting the point of view and choosing the specific customer. And I can also aggregate all the customers in a particular location to understand the demand patterns of those customers, and which allows me to to forecast my demand based on a particular location. So what I've done is that we have aggregated all the customers based on the Sydney location, and I can also create the trends I can leverage the trends in my existing volumes to predict the trend in the future. So for here, based on the fact that the economy is changing quite frequently, So I would choose to use a 3-week rolling forecast. I can easily apply these rolling forecast projection methods across all the SKUs. As you can see, I've just done now. And once I save this information, this will automatically calculate the 3-week rolling. As the name suggests, it'll take the immediate prior 3 weeks and it'll average it, based on which it'll give me exponential smoothing effect on my forecast. So this is how I can easily incorporate my base forecast based on a 3-week rolling average of my historical demand. As I see that the forecasts have already been updated based on the projection. I can also do detailed demand forecast on top of my base forecast. For example, if I want to run certain promotions, as I already know that there's a Boxing Day sale and there would be increased demand for my access monitors, I can choose those specific areas of my promotion. So for example, here, my financial year is from July to the 30th of June. Hence, I would choose week 32, that's the Boxing Day promo week. So I will choose a promo week, and I would expect the sales to increase by, say, 800%. And once I choose these assumptions, along with my base forecast, once I save these assumptions, this will not only create my overall forecasted demand, but it also would show me the impact onto my GL. So for example, here, upon changing the promotion week for week 32 to 800%, I can see that my volume has been projected to 8 additional units, which means that it is the overall 9 units of my volume for week 32. And based on which it calculates the impact to my income statement, which is the account 4010, as highlighted in this row. So moving on to the supply side of, and I can create a detailed demand analysis report based on the drivers that have changed. So all this information is being driven from a single integrated platform, which means that whenever you change any drivers of your demand, the demand analysis reports automatically increases, which shows me a clear trend of the pattern of demand that I will have across different locations. Because it's an integrated sales and operations plan, shortly I would see that the demand automatically flows through my supply plan. So moving on to the supply plan. The supply plan is driven by the different parameters like my lead time by individual locations, the safety time, the reorder point, and the different levels of the preferred stock. And all this information can be loaded from NetSuite via direct integration. I can apply specific flexing parameter to drive the, for example, the reorder point based on various parameters. So for example, I can base the reorder point based on the lead time demand. The lead time demand can be generally based on a rolling average week of my sales. Here, we can see that the demand, because it's an integrated sales and operations plan, has already flown into my supply, which along with the lead time and the safety time, as shown here, drives my reorder point and my safety stock units. All these instructions are given in this template, which shows you how the logic is being derived. Essentially, it is a max of preferred stock versus the lead time demand and versus the safety stock. And it is very easy to tweak the logic that you require in order to meet your business needs. So now that we have decided the effective safety stock and the reorder point, let us see how NetSuite Planning and Budgeting builds the supply plan. So the supply plan is essentially built based on 5 different sections, starting with my opening inventory positions, which decides based on the demand, how much units do we have available. So here for week 24, we see that we are short of 25 units. We are short of 5 units. Whereas my effective reorder point for 24 is 59, which essentially means that the stocks have depleted beyond the reorder point, which means that we would need to order. So the orders of replenishments, which allows you to replenish my inventory, works with the various drivers like my lead time, my effective reorder point, which would decide how many new stock I would receive in my inventory, which essentially would build the purchase forecast. And the purchase forecast essentially would then flow into your cash flow to decide your cash position. And finally, once we have replenished our orders, and once it has dynamically built my purchase forecast, it will clearly show my inventory movement. My inventory movement, as in how much I have stocked versus how much I've sold, and that will decide my closing inventory position. And whenever we change any of the drivers on this page, this will automatically update my purchase forecast, my inventory movements, and thereby my closing inventory position, which will impact my balance sheet. So let us go ahead and change some of the drivers for brocade switches. One of the key advantages of using this application as well is that the supply plan would automatically generate all the supply plan KPIs like your inventory movements, cost of goods sold, your effective reorder point, as well as how frequently you are ordering. This allows you a complete visibility of your supply plan. So let me change the lead time for the brocade switches from 3 weeks to 4 weeks, because I deem because of economic situations, the supply lines would be impacted. So by using a single click, I can change the drivers of my lead time from week 24 onwards to week 33. And once I save this information, the system will go in the background to calculate the impact made due to the changes of the lead time, and it will show me the overall balances of my weekly inventory position week by week, as well as it will show me the weekly purchases thereof. What the system also would do is that apply all these changes into the balance sheet, into the income statement, which essentially would drive my balance sheet and my cash flow. So here, as I've seen that based on the changes to the drivers that I have made, which is 4 weeks, I can easily see the changes to my closing stock on hand, as well as the stock purchases that I'm making. And it also shows me in terms of dollars, what are the impact to my inventory positions as well as my purchases. And all these information is reflected in the weekly inventory positions. And I can analyze how much inventory movements I have encountered based on the supply plan month on month. Moving on to the weekly purchases forecast, this gives me a detailed weekly purchase forecast by the different SKUs, as you can see in the rows. So what does all this means? All this means is that this automatically flows into the financial impact, starting with my gross margin. I can see the gross margin on a weekly basis by location, as well as by total location. The total location information is automatically aggregated as soon as we save the information. And that is one of the key strengths of NetSuite Planning and Budgeting Sales and Integrations, Sales and Operations Plan. It also shows me the gross margin on a 445 monthly breakdown, which essentially rolls up the weeks into the individual months, where every quarter is broken down by a 445 pattern of the 13 weeks. And all this information automatically gets posted into my income statement, which shows not only the revenue items as it flows from the demand, but also the net profit after taxes, as you can see down here. This also drives my balance sheet. So all the inventory positions or the inventory movements that have incurred due to the changes to my supply plan, that automatically flows through to my balance sheet, which makes my balance sheet balanced. And all these things happen in the background. The income statement and the balance sheet drives the cash flow. So this was one of the key reports that we have already seen so far. But what we have also seen now is that just using a simple clicks by changing the drivers of my demand and my supply, I have automatically built an integrated gross margin analysis, my purchase forecast, my inventory movements, which builds the three-way linked financial plan, which is my income statement, balance sheet, and my cash flow. So to summarize, what we have just seen is that using NetSuite integrated business planning process, the sales and operations planning, we are able to quickly understand the impact of the changes of my demand and supply, which is driven by the economic conditions, and how quickly and in an agile way we can understand the impact to our financials, which is one of the key KPIs which would help us survive in these uncertain times. So with that, I will conclude my demonstration. Hope it was useful. And